Want to learn all about the history of Roanoke through various museums?
Stay tuned to find out. Hey, it's Hal Cohn.
And Chris Cohn with Cohn Realty Group.
If this is your first time to our channel, or maybe your second time, or maybe your 100th time, please make sure you click that subscribe button and that notification bell icon so that you know each and every time we release a new video about living, working, and playing, and some real estate in the Roanoke Valley.
That's right, and if you or your friends are thinking about moving to or within Roanoke, Salem, Botetourt, please let us know. We'd love to have a conversation with you. You can call us, text us, or email us.
Hey, and welcome today. We are at the Virginia Museum of Transportation here in Roanoke, and we're going to give you a tour of some of the historical museums that we have in Roanoke.
Yeah, this is such a wonderful place to visit, but there's a lot of history in our region. It's really steeped in history, right? And y'all know that I love that, and it appears that some viewers like you appreciate history too. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just provide you with an overview of some great history museums you can check out during your visit or when you plan to relocate to the area.
Okay, so as we mentioned, we are at the Virginia Museum of Transportation here in Roanoke to start things off today with our historical museum tour, and I'm driving a locomotive.
Watch out.
Because Roanoke is known for the railroad, right? So
absolutely. We have so much history, and our foundation is in railroad history with Norfolk and Western and now Norfolk Southern. So being here at the Virginia Museum of Transportation, they have everything from trains, cars, planes. I like that movie. Remember that movie? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
That's right.
But nonetheless, we're here just in the train exhibit. And you guys, there's a whole rail yard out there. Even if we captured it on a film, you wouldn't be able to get the grand perspective.
You wouldn't believe it.
No, and you can run around, you can go inside locomotives. Come on out, let's give them a perspective of this.
Come. Chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it.
Choo-choo.
What movie was that from?
I don't know.
I wasn't asking you, I'm asking our
Oh,
folks.
okay, good. Maybe y'all will know. But nonetheless, the Museum of Transportation is fantastic because you can get in and around all kinds of different locomotives. You can check out the automobiles, and this is from the automobile gallery is from the 1920s and beyond, more recent cars. They have lots of cool exhibits like Hollywood star cars. I'd like to see that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they have the Dukes of Hazzard car over there, if I remember correctly.
Neat. Right.
Yeah. So for those of you who watched the Dukes of Hazzard back in the 80s.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they have planes. That's where our intro was, and everything in between. So of course there'll be lots of exhibits here for the kids and for the young at heart. Right.
Yep.
And they have events throughout the year too. I just picked up an event for Easter. They're going to have some fun things going on. But one thing that's really special about the Museum of Transportation is the 611. It is one of the only, I believe it is the only. Thank you. Class J train that is still in operation, and that was a big deal because this 611 was actually created right here in the Roanoke shops, so it's got a great big history here.
I think the it said that it was $250,000 to build it when they first built it, which was like, I was like, holy cow, I can't believe that. But anyways, so definitely an engineering feat of the time.
Absolutely. So we would say that Virginia Museum of Transportation should definitely be your first stop.
There you go. Okay, so let's keep on keeping on when it comes to history and museums here in the Roanoke Valley. And Chris wanted us to talk about historical nostalgia based on what we see behind us, right?
These signs, and you go through the country and you see all the older signs and historical markers over here, things like that. It stirs up nostalgia.
It does,
right?
Yeah. So what are some things that you guys think of when it comes to days past, like rotary phones, like pay phones, right? Which our kids have seen and they're like, what is this?
Right.
What's this for?
Or payphones.
Yeah.
And even music now. One of my favorite genres of music is now considered classic. That hurts.
But it's so good.
It is good.
And we digress. So,
Yes.
so let's give you
let's
some
keep
intel
going.
about some of the another regional historical society that you should check out when you're here in the Roanoke Valley, and that is going to be the Franklin County Historical Society.
Yeah.
So there it is. It was originally built in 1911. And it's one of 2,500 of the Andrew Carnegie libraries constructed worldwide. So that's
really
pretty
cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I know.
had no idea.
Right here in our
I learned
backyard.
something new.
Yeah.
So and they've got artifacts, they've got art, they've got anthropology and natural history exhibits.
Okay.
And they also have some traveling exhibits and art shows as well that'll come through there. And their mission is to preserve and promote the history of Franklin County and the region through educational publications, programs, and the operation of the Franklin County Museum.
So that makes a lot of sense. Really showcasing the agricultural side of things. They tend to be more rural, so let's looking at that history from that perspective. So,
Yeah, wildlife,
very good.
paleontology, unique
Yeah.
landscapes, because you'll see that there.
All right, so now I'm going to take us to Bedford, and they have a museum and genealogical library, which is really neat. They really showcase Native American early life. So I've got to go there.
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
Be so interested
Well,
in
I know we
learning
talked about
that.
Big Lick and the history of Roanoke and the
Right.
Native Americans that were here, so it makes sense that they'd be in Bedford County as well.
Yeah, and actually a lot of these museums and historical societies focus a lot on Native American history, so that's really interesting. I think you could get touches of that in each one. But they have extensive records and other materials for research available, and even things like county cemeteries. I have this affinity for cemeteries because I grew up behind one. I know
And
it's
what's
weird,
that Facebook
but-
group that you're always on?
Oh, Abandoned in Virginia. It's really neat. They have lots of cemeteries, old houses that haven't been inhabited in a long time. It's really fascinating.
It gives you a whole lot of history.
True.
And they get thousands of comments. It's wild.
So here in the Bedford Museum, their main focus is to maintain files for the geological and historical research and also interpret artifacts and objects of historical significance. So be sure you check that out en route. You can go to the Franklin County one, then the Bedford one, and then
we went to Botetourt. So Botetourt County has the Historical Society and Museum that you can check out to learn all things Botetourt and the region. So they've got documents and articles that were used back in the 1700s, like 1770.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some farmsteads out there that were 1880s-ish, but 1700s.
Yeah,
All right.
1770. So
I gotta go there,
artifacts and
too.
that type of thing from back in the 1770s. And then you've also got General James Breckinridge had a law office out
Oh, wow.
there.
Okay.
And then Lewis and Clark have ties to Fincastle.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
I think Buchanan too, because I remember, or maybe we were just filming it in Buchanan, but certainly Botetourt County, Lewis and Clark, definitely check that out. You can retrace those steps that they went through. I know.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then also the importance of the James River, which we go tubing down
Yes.
at times, and we can go fishing on as well.
Yeah.
But it had more significance back then than it does as a recreation opportunity for us today.
Okay.
And then there's this thing called the Kanawha, K-N-A-W-H-A, K-N-A-W-H-A, Canal.
Okay.
That had some significance. I don't know. Do you know? And if you do know, please put it in the comments. Let me know about it since I'm not from the area. I have no clue.
And that was for travel and commerce, so that would be fascinating to find out. And you said you just saw a listing there, right?
Yeah, I did. I saw a listing that was in that area that mentioned Kanawha. Why?
Kanawha, maybe
Yeah.
Canal. So yeah, please let us know if you have more information on that. That would be fascinating. Or hey, let's all go visit the museum. Check it out.
There you go.
All right, so next we're going to head over to Vinton and the Vinton Historical Society Museum. And they were first founded in 1984 when they were celebrating their centennial celebration. So that's fantastic. They are a nonprofit organization that focuses on preserving items of historic relevance. And they do things like maintaining artifacts and providing educational opportunities for the community. So I really like that. They incorporate a lot of things for the community. Many of these do, because we heard about some day trips that they sponsor, things like that. So I think that's fantastic. Let's talk about a few things that you'll find inside Vinton Historical Society Museum, and that includes things like Indian arrowheads, porcelain dolls, china, handmade dough bowls, World War II memorabilia too, and a variety of period clothing, which I'm especially interested in.
Yeah, she's gonna try it out. She's gonna start a revival, she said. So let's talk about the Salem Museum, which is in Salem, Virginia, of course. And look right there, you see that Ferris wheel? Makes you think of the Salem Fair, of course, right?
Yeah, so, that's coming in the summer. Good times.
It's coming up, the end of June and the first couple weeks of July.
Yeah.
So we'll be here before we know it. But let's talk about the Salem Museum.
Yes.
So it was founded in 1802, almost said 1902. 1802. Have a monthly speaker series.
I like that. I participated in some of those speaker series. Yes.
Did you participate as in that you actually spoke,
No.
or did you listen?
No, I am a passive observer.
There you go.
Participant. Yes.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Very fascinating.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And then they got some permanent exhibits there, which are Virginia Indians. We've got European settlers, colonial heroes like William Fleming and Andrew Lewis. So we've got a high school here named William Fleming High, and we also have Andrew Lewis Middle School, which is in Salem.
That's
so
right. Learn
some
about their
historical
namesake.
significance there. Storm clouds on the horizon, Salem and the Civil War is one of the exhibits. The Brown House Parlor. And one of the things that we like to do is do what?
Oh, the ghost tour. Yeah, annually they have a ghost tour, and you walk around the cemetery at dusk and into evening, and it's very popular. But they have interpreters throughout the cemetery at various posts, and they are interpreting as if they were historic characters that were right here in Salem.
Yes.
And it's really fun. It's very fascinating. It's a full family event, and we really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Hey, so we've changed locations now, and we are at Center in the Square, where it houses a lot of other museums and places that you can hang out with your friends, family, whoever. But we wanted to make sure that we highlighted this particular museum today, which is the Harrison Museum of African American Culture, which resides inside Center in the Square.
And it's a really, really neat museum because they really play upon the significance of the cultural and educational aspects of African American life here in the Valley, and they do that through numerous ways. Like, they have a lot of interpretive things, including memorabilia, photography. They have objects relating to African American experience, oral stories passed on by elders. I love that. So it's more of an immersive experience.
It is, yeah. And one of the things that I filmed while we were here is an actual poster of an upcoming photo essay by Philip Barrett, who's a local artist, who's an African American artist here in Roanoke. We've actually got some of his artwork at our house.
Yes, absolutely. And what I love, I'm going to read just a little bit of what we found that was so fascinating. They have African and contemporary art because it's such an integral part of the permanent collection, and that the museum itself is a vibrant force in creating community collaborations to capture the rich history and continue the legacy of African culture.
There we go. That's awesome. Okay, so we have moseyed on down the road just a little bit, and we are across the street from Hotel Roanoke, where we are currently, and where are we?
We're at the Winston Link and History Museum of Western Virginia, which also houses the Visitor Center. I mean, how convenient is that? Right across the street from Hotel Roanoke. Very convenient.
Yeah, so you can stay at the Hotel Roanoke, awesome place to stay, and then you can just come over here, find out everything that you want to do that you haven't found on our YouTube channel. You can find it here at the Visitor Center, and also take a little tour down memory lane here in the Winston Link Museum.
Right, and not to mention Hotel Roanoke is fabulous for its history. It's very well known for that. But the Winston Link Museum, what's so special about this space is that this was the former passenger station of the Norfolk and Western Railway.
Wow.
So I know, I learned that from one of the volunteers last time I came. And when you walk in, there's this magnificent dome, kind of like a rotunda in the top of the ceiling. And it's not just decorative, it's actually very practical, because before microphones or anything were in play, they actually used that to announce the train schedules and when trains were arriving.
Well, there you go. So that way you wouldn't miss your train. You had to listen carefully, though.
That's right. So let's talk about what's here, okay? So the History Museum, it has one of the largest repositories of material, and that material contains everything from textiles to three-dimensional objects, of course, books, artifacts, photographs, documents, hundreds of maps, slides, postcards, all that good stuff. And then in the Link Museum, which is where we are, you know, I'm embarrassed that I did not know much about Winston Link. But this is fascinating, you guys.
Yeah, he was a pioneer, innovator, back at the end of steam power when it came to steam-powered engines on the railroad. He was doing nighttime photography.
Yes.
On a grand scale.
Yeah, and this is some of his equipment, and they said that if he couldn't buy it, he made it. And I mean, think about your phone now and how hard it is to capture great images at night. Imagine back in the 1960s when he had to hardwire all the lighting and everything. Anyways, fascinating museum. I could go on forever about this, and I'm going to come back. The artwork here is spectacular.
It is.
You're not allowed to photograph it, so we can't give you a sneak peek. You're just going to have to come here and look at it yourself.
That's right.
But really fantastic, and they just put out a 30-minute video on the YouTube channel called Historical Society of Western Virginia. So if you're interested in more information about this and other works, check that out.
And we'll put a link in our comment section once we get this up, so that way you can find it even more easily and readily at your fingertips.
That's right. And you know what? I mean, we were talking earlier. Yes, we're back at a museum that's focusing on railroad history a bit, but that's what Roanoke is all about, right? That's why we were founded, and you'll be able to learn all about that and more right here in Winston Link and History Museum of Western Virginia.
All right, so there's all things history in Roanoke just for you.
Well, actually, that was just a sampling, but that was a little bit of the museums that we have right here in the valley, and we have more history coming, maybe, right?
Of course, because that's what she likes, and I know you guys are going to love it too, but right now, I'm famished. I need food. I'm going to go eat across the railroad tracks here at the Wiener stand.
Ooh, I'm in.
Oh, yeah. Okay, bye.